Well, I was part of the radical student movement, and one of our goals was to make the bookstore more user-friendly, better hours, lower prices. We felt that in those days there was no Amazon.ca, and we were really captives of the prices that the bookstore charged. And we felt as students that we were being gouged. We just basically walked into the bookstore and sat down on the floor and refused to leave. Yeah. And it was again part of that whole package of democratizing the university and trying to get the administration to recognize that students' interests are also their interests, and that if students are not happy, the university is not flourishing. And it ended peacefully. All of these sit-ins ended peacefully. And there was never any violence. There was never any police presence. We were never thrown into jail. We were not treated as criminals. And to the best of my knowledge, we had no record from the activities that we were engaging in. So it was pretty easy sneezy for us, you know. We just walked in, sat down, and said, well, we want better prices. I think in the end, a compromise was reached, and the prices were reduced quite significantly. The universities were in a very flush position in those days because provincial funding was much more significant than it is now. The province was putting a lot more money into education in the 60s and the 70s than it has in in recent past. And because it was such a young university, there weren't big issues around pension funds, and so there was wiggle room there for the university to make a deal with us. Because they really didn't need that profit to manage. Yeah, it was part of this big strategy of making the university a better place. Yeah. And I think that the administration recognized that we weren't, didn't destroy anything. We weren't dirty, at least not when we went in. I don't remember what we did about washrooms. Now that's a good question. I don't remember. But it was transformational in the 60s, and it did. What did they call it? Waterloo was the Red University. Can you imagine? Would you say that today? No. It was transformational, and it did seep into some of the institutional structures. But bottom line is, students are transitory. They're there for 4 or 5 years, or unless you're a career politician student, 7 or 8, or me, 35, 40. You're not there for very long. They know that. And so unless you have a real commitment from senior administration to take demands seriously, nothing is going to happen. And even when you have that kind of commitment, there are so many external pressures on the senior administration that there are real limits to what you can do. I mean, what did we do? All right, we opened up the hours of the library. We brought about reduced prices at the bookstore. We tried to make the student experience a more positive one. And some small departments like mine did try to democratize their decision-making structures as much as they could. Yeah, it was the absolutely best time to be a student at Waterloo.